Hello there my RPG lovers and welcome to another video. The smoothest combat system is not necessarily the best combat system. I really need to point that out before we continue. There are a few reasons why I think that Kingdoms of Amalur has the smoothest combat system out of all open world RPGs I ever played. The amount of options you have, the way it controls, and the flexibility of this combat system is nothing short of amazing. It was definitely one of the main selling points when this game came out back in early 2012. When I watched the trailers before the game released, I honestly thought it was too good to be true, especially the trailer for the combat system where we could see a couple of different fighting styles. On the first sight, it seemed like a strange mix of Fable and Oblivion. And what's even more interesting, the lead designer of Morrowind and Oblivion, Ken Rolston, was working on this game, so that was another reason to be excited. Now let's take a closer look under the hood of this combat system and try to see what exactly made it so good. In its core, the fighting in Kingdoms of Amalur is really simple. You get 2 weapon slots, 1 shield slot, and the rest is reserved for new abilities and spells that you can learn. How you combine those weapons is totally up to you, and the game offers you a big variety of weapon types, 9 to be exact. All of them have different attacks, animations and new moves that you can learn as you invest your level up points in one of the 3 skill trees. You'll have the ability to unlock charged attacks with every weapon, which you can activate by holding the appropriate button at any time, even in the middle of your attack. The whole attack pattern might seem like a combo system, but it actually doesn't require much precision like in some games. What stops it from being a button masher is the number of enemies you're going to fight, and unless you're facing a boss or elite monster, you're always going to fight more than one opponent, so if you focus your attention on one NPC, you will get hit from the back quite a lot. This game also doesn't have a stamina system that will limit the number of your hits or anything similar. This was a good idea since the combat is fast in general, however the room for mistake can be really big, which makes the gameplay a bit forgiving. But more about this later. Switching between weapons is done by the press of a button and you can do it really fast even in the middle of your combo. This wouldn't be possible without phenomenal animations in the game and the responsive control scheme. For example, you can start attacking with your greatsword and quickly switch to some faster weapon like daggers or blades. Or maybe you prefer to have at least one ranged weapon equipped so you can deal with distant enemies easier. You can even equip 2 ranged weapons like chakrams, longbow or scepters. There's even some crazy stuff that you can pull off, like launching your enemy in the air with a melee weapon and juggle them with a ranged weapon. You can feel free to combine any 2 weapons of your choice, there are no limitations. You can also pull off the shield that you equipped at any given time if you want to perform a block, parry, or a couple of more moves that you can learn. The developers really tried their best with making every weapon type feel different, effective and unique. All of this is fueled by a classless system that offers you a lot of passive bonuses to different stats. These are called destinies, and depending on how you invested your points in the skill tree, you will unlock different cards. This system is also really flexible as the combat itself, because these cards that you unlock can support every possible combination that you can think of. You can dump points into one tree, mix it up a little bit with 2 trees, or invest your points in all of them. No matter what you choose, you will always have some new destiny cards to look forward to. Besides passive effects, you will get a special title which will kinda define the build that you're using. It's more of a role-playing thing, you see it every time you enter a menu, but it's really satisfying. As you invest your points into the skill tree, you unlock more moves with different weapon types. You can always check everything that you learned in the moves menu, and it also shows you what you can learn further down the line. There is stealth in the game as well, and you can sneak behind the opponents to try and perform a sneak attack. So basically every playstyle that you can think of is included, and most importantly it's fun to learn all the stuff that this combat system offers you. Once you understand how all of this works, it's easy to invest hours upon hours killing stuff in the game. I never felt like it's being repetitive just because you get so much different options for fighting and you can switch to a different style by the press of a button. Combine all of this with many different armor sets that you can buy or craft, and you get a really satisfying character progression to play around with. But of course, since nothing is perfect unless you are Halle Berry, neither is this game. The game feels like it desperately needs one more difficulty setting because honestly hard felt like normal. The main problem was not the combat itself, but the gameplay in general can be really forgiving. Even when you get yourself into a tricky situation, you can always pop a potion from the menu and get back into action. And you may ask, what makes Kingdoms of Amalur different from other games that let you do this? Well, a lot actually, since the combat itself is really smooth and responsive with lots of options. To counter that, the game has to be more punishing, at least on higher difficulty. Even something simple like increasing the damage of NPCs would be a welcoming change. And I feel like the developers would add something like this for sure, but unfortunately they filed for bankruptcy shortly after the game released. This game also got 2 major DLCs or expansions actually, with a lot of new content. I recently did a full playthrough of the game, and for the first time I played the expansions as well, and I must say that these expansions fixed a couple of problems I mentioned. They certainly felt more challenging, especially the pirate team expansion called Legend of Dead Cal. One more flawed and downright overpowered system in the game that you can use is the Reckoning State. That purple bar below your health will start charging with your every hit, and once it's filled, you can enter the Reckoning mode. You're pretty much a god while in this mode, and while it's definitely cool, especially those finishing animations, it's really overpowered. But despite all of these problems, the combat system is really something special. When this game came out, I thought it was just a matter of time when we start seeing open world RPGs with similar combat system. Unfortunately, that never happened. Although, we got Dragon's Dogma only a few months after the release of Kingdoms of Amalur. It arguably had a better combat system than Kingdoms, but these two games were shooting for a completely different style in my opinion, even though they were the same genre. But anyway, in order to feel the smoothness of this combat system, you would really have to try it for yourself. This game usually goes on sale and you can pick it up for about $10 along with those expansions. But even if you pay the full price of $45, I think it's more than worth it. What's giving me hope for the future is the fact that THQ Nordic recently acquired the Kingdoms of Amalur IP, and I truly hope we'll see something from them related to this game. They could maybe do a remastered edition, port it to Switch, or even surprise us with a sequel. But these are just speculations, we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to press the thumbs up button. Subscribe for more RPG content, and maybe hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future uploads. Special thanks to my patrons and YouTube exclusive members, and if you as well want to become one of them, all the links are in the description. And I'll see ya in the next one.